We're talking about 44 different games.
Yeah.
For the month of August.
So 1 hour divided by 44, 60 divided by 44 means you get...
You know what? We're gonna turn a whole new leaf. I'm gonna surprise you. I'm gonna surprise the party people. We're gonna have this list done in no time.
You get 1.36 minutes per game.
Oh my god! Let's do it. You know what? I'm gonna cut that in half. It's gonna be so good. Let's rock this. Let's do this. Woo! What's happening, party people? Welcome to Punch More Party. My name is Daniel. This is Father Greg, and we have one heck of a best of the month for you.
At least one of us does.
John was visiting. You met John. He did our last top 10.
Yep.
And so him and I, we played 20 different games together.
Holy.
So in 1 week, he was here for 7 days, and we played 20 unique games.
Wow.
And we played a couple games multiple times.
20 unique games.
20 unique games.
Not just 20 plays, 20 unique games.
20 unique games.
Holy.
So that's going to populate a large portion of this month. But party people, as always, let us know in the comments down below what you played in the month of August, and let us know what you think about our plays. Because we just love talking about board games, and we're going to do that a lot right now.
Hold on.
Okay, party people, after some recalculation, we are talking about 47 unique games.
That's right.
So this is going to be one heck of a list. And we're going to start that right now. All right, so first off, I played a couple of classics. So I played Kingsburg.
Nice.
And Kingsburg is just this awesome dice worker placement. Put your dice on places, get resources, and try and build buildings that will give you abilities. I normally go for the big points, but this time around, I changed up my strategy both times I played this and did things that got me like an extra die or an extra resource or these kinds of things. And you know what? This game is heavily luck dependent, but it is a joy. It's just a joy to play. And after that, I busted out with Dallas. I was playing with Dallas and Zeb, and then Zeb went home, and so busted out 5 tribes with just me and Dallas.
Nice.
Love 5 tribes still. And this was just everything I remember 5 tribes being. But the disadvantage is when you're playing with someone who has never played it before, the experienced player is just, they're going to win. So that might have been not the greatest experience for Dallas. I'm curious if Dallas will let us know in the comments down below what he actually thought about this or not. Because I think he thought it was okay, but it was hard to tell because he was just at an extreme disadvantage. My move right out the gate was 4 or 5 green cards, and I just started set collecting right off the hop. And then he was like, "What's happening?" Good times.
Nice. So still, when I'm back in Unity, I'm still there. I got a couple days left, which means I'm invited out to lots of people's houses. That means a few extra board games just before I leave. So it's with a family of 5 kids and some adults, and just having a great time. So what did we play? We played Skull.
Nice.
And they love Skull. This family, these kids just love. I ask them to flip over a thing, and they flip over a skull, and they think that's the funniest thing in the world, and they just laugh their heads off. And,
they snipe you.
Yeah, the fact that they fool me. And,
that's right.
Yeah, so love Skull.
Okay, we talked about this a little bit in our last video, but I did get to play in the Footsteps of Darwin. Sarah and I were over with Mary and Dallas, and we played this together. And so in the Footsteps of Darwin, a really light kind of tile selection game, sort of a rondel, you can move 1 to 3 spaces around the board and then select from a row and a column a tile, and then you place that on your board in a very limited way. This tile can only go here, and that tile can only go there. And then you're trying to get points for rows and columns and this kind of thing. Very inoffensive game, very sweet game, has enough depth to if you're playing a light game, it still keeps the gamer at least somewhat engaged. So I like it in the Footsteps.
I still think this is I don't know, by the same people as the Darwin's Journey. Even though it's not. It's not, but it just feels like it is. It feels like they made Darwin's Journey, and then they made a little tiny family version of Darwin's Journey. And I was like, yeah, it works. It's great.
The museum part of Darwin's Journey feels very
exactly.
similar. Yeah,
this is totally just a trimmed down version of Darwin's Journey.
It's hey, let's just do that part of this giant game as a board game. I guess.
And the art's the same. It has a very similar kind of feel to it. It's just, anyways.
Sure.
The next game I played was For Sale.
Oh,
so we went
classic,
with this family. We went and bought and sold properties, sold them. bottom.
Cardboard box.
Yeah, cardboard box. Living on the space station. Not a great thing to do these days.
It's on a moon. It's a space station.
But yeah. Anyways, great time playing For Sale.
Okay, so we had a church game night. This was Father Greg's first game night at St. Anne's as pastor.
That's right.
Wowee. And so Father Prosper, the associate pastor at St. Anne's, he's a lovely man, and he was playing games.
He's never played a board game before, though, like probably in his life, just to be clear.
And so he got into some games that were a bit over his head, and like being taught by people that didn't really know what they were doing. But he was sticking it out. He was enjoying connecting with people, and it was nice. And then finally I just called him over, and I was like, hey, Father Prosper, come play a game of Llama. And so Father Greg, Father Prosper, another parishioner, and we played a nice game of Llama. And Father Prosper at the end of that said, that was nice.
That's right.
Why didn't we play this before? It was something you could get his head around. It was fun. When things would work out, it was thrilling for him. When things wouldn't work out, it was also enjoyable to just kind of, So Llama was a great play and a great way to introduce Father Prosper to games the proper way, I think.
Nice. The very last game I played with this family was Wits and Wagers Family Edition.
Whoa!
So
I don't think I've ever played a Wits and Wagers game.
Really? So Wits and Wagers is great. It's a trivia game, but it's a trivia game where in the Family Edition, maybe you know some of the answers, but by and large, it's like how many hamburgers does the average American eat in a year?
Okay.
So it's something like nobody's actually going to know the actual answer.
Oh, I have played this.
And so you each just put a number, but then you bet on, once you've revealed all the numbers, whose number is the closest. So even if you've bet a number that's way too big,
sure,
you can realize once all the other numbers come out, ooh, everyone else is way lower than me. Okay, I'm going to bet on this guy's number. And so then you actually reveal the number, and then you get points based on if your answer was correct, and then based on, you have a large meeple, and you bet on that. If you put that on that, it's 2 points. If you get your small meeple, that's 1. So if you put them all on the same card, and it's yours, that's 4 points. Right. Or you can spread them out and hedge your bets and be like, well, it could be this one, it could be this one. Yeah, just a fun kind of trivia game, random. Sure. Everything's numbers. Everything's got a number to it. We still debate that there could be a carrot that was 40 feet long or something like that.
Sure.
The world's I was like, there's no way a carrot is 40 feet long. But
it's still the way the game leaves you.
That's right. That was the answer. The world's largest carrot. But our numbers were a foot,
right?
Sure. How could the longest carrot maybe 3 feet?
Right.
The answer was 40.
that was growing for a long time.
Yeah, I don't know, literally how you grow a carrot like that. But yeah, Wits and Wagers Family.
Fun. So John was visiting, and we started playing games together. And I was really excited to introduce John to Faraway. A claim to fame of John, and we talked about it in our last video with him, was he introduced me to Hive. And he beat me miserably, and I had a miserable experience, and I hated it. I think I got my revenge with Faraway.
Sure.
Where he just couldn't grok what was going on, and he scored miserably, and he hated every moment of it. As he was playing it, he knew he wasn't getting it. Mm-hmm. And it was just a frustrating experience for him. And so he said, we're never playing this again. And we never played again. I thought the Faraway was going to become this filler that we would fill in our plays with, but that did not happen.
It's a tricky game to understand. Yes. This thing where you draft an end condition, but then as you're working towards meeting the goals of this condition, it's oh wait, half of those things aren't going to be flipped by the time this card comes around.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's rough. Then I went over to another family's house just before I left. Another kind of big group of people. And so we played Century Spice Road.
Wow! And, with a big group of people?
Well, I think we were 4, but there was a bunch of people out there. Four people sat around the table.
Sure.
And we ended up playing a game of Century Spice Road. Love Century, the whole series. Spice Road, probably the best, but take your pick.
It broke in the series, and it's good. Yeah. Very good, yeah. Haven't played a game of Century for a while. So, got a little personal classic back to the table, an Enchanted Plumes. So again, one small box card game didn't work for John. Mm-hmm. This small box card game did work for John.
Good.
Okay? So again, just the simple concept of building peacock plumes, and you gotta build from the top of the plume down, and you narrow down, so the top row might have 3 cards, next row has to have 2 cards and 1, and then you finish your peacock. But the colors you use in the top, those colors have to appear. You can only use those top colors in the next row, and then you can only use those colors down. And so you can get a little gummed up.
Right.
And the top row is all minus points. So you're trying to put low cards in the top, and so a lovely puzzle. A lovely restrictive puzzle. Nice. Fun to play.
Cool.
Sarah whipped us.
Nice. The next game I played was Welcome to.
Oh, so lovely.
This game, although we had a much heated debate about what the actual name of this game is.
Okay.
Because, like, Board Game Geek calls it Welcome to ...
Yes.
But, like, nowhere does ... appear on the board game cover.
Yes, it does.
It says, like, Welcome to your new home. And, like...
It's not Welcome to ... your new home?
No, it said, like, the actual board game is probably Welcome. It's like, Welcome to your new home. Like, it's all over the place. There's no way to tell what the actual name of this board game actually ought to be.
Oh, yeah.
Like Welcome is
He's right. It says, Welcome to your perfect home.
That's right. And so it's like...
But
somehow...
Board Game Geek just
along the way, it just kind of became Welcome to.
Yeah, Board Game Geek was like, we're not putting this...
That's right.
We're not putting to your new home.
So, whatever. However it grew to be called Welcome to, I have no idea, but it's a fun game.
It's lovely.
Yeah.
Okay, so John is a huge fan of Dune Imperium, and so we got Dune Imperium with the Immortality expansion played. He has only played with Rise of Ix up until this point, and so we played with Immortality. And this was the longest game of Dune I've ever played. We started in the afternoon, and then we went for an outing, to Wadaskawood or something, and then we came back and kept on playing. You came over at some point in that midst as we were trying to finish up this game.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So, great though. Immortality is a great expansion. I love what it adds. I particularly love the graft mechanism. So you get a card that has a graft keyword on it, and then you can play it with another card. And so then you get the benefits that are on both the cards when you place your agent on the space, and you can go to any of the spaces that either of the cards indicate you can go to. So yes, you're using 2 cards, but you're getting double the benefit, and then a lot of the cards that have the graft ability have if grafted, or some of the cards have, if grafted, then this. And so you can get some pretty powerful moves. And it also has this thing called specimens, where you use your troops and you kind of put them into this laboratory space, and they become specimens. So they're all hooked up to wires and stuff, apparently. And then you spend those specimens to get these special graft cards or whatever. But it limits the amount of troops you have available to use in your battles and stuff. So those elements, I think, add to a nice version of Dune Imperium. And John loved it, and he bought it, and he's been playing it at home, combined with Rise of Ix, like a madman.
Alright, so then I went over to Mary Dallas's house, and they invited this guy along for some weird reason.
They liked me a little bit.
Yeah. So there was also another guy, Diego, that was there, and we played a game that I quite like. We hadn't played in a long time. That's Chinatown.
That's right.
Chinatown is a game about wheeling and dealing, yet some people don't like to make deals. They're horrible. That's not you. That was Diego.
Yeah, I was going to say, you had it up for me the whole game. So don't go... This was a horrible play of Chinatown. This was so bad. We just let Diego have the game in the second round, and then everyone else had these, chips on their shoulders against everybody else, and so nobody could, mount an offensive against him, and I'm just bad at this game.
That's right. But before the game, Dallas was like, we're not dealing with Dan, right? Just saying no to Dan every time.
So rude.
But then Diego,
Mary
was
nice to me.
unwilling to make even the most generous of deals. He was Scrooge McDuck, man.
But it worked out for him.
Well, yeah.
I don't know if he knew that was going to happen.
That's right.
It didn't seem like Diego knew what was happening.
He accidentally won that game.
Yes, that's right. So that was something.
But it is a lot of fun. I do like this game.
Yes, that's right. Okay, so the kids have vacation Bible school for a good chunk of the week that John was visiting. So when they would go off to vacation Bible school, then John and I would set up a game and we would play during the day. And so we set up Valeria Card Kingdoms, which I think is still an amazing alternative to Machi Koro. I don't know how you're gonna kind of set it up against Space Base. I think a lot of people are still gonna prefer Space Base. It got the fan base behind them. I personally prefer Valeria Card Kingdoms of all these 3 versions of this style of game. Sure. I like that you have the lands that are kind of these gold. You have to kind of build towards being able to get them. And then when you get them, they're going to score you for different things that you have. Mm-hmm. I like fighting the monsters at the top. So just again, it's kind of the Ascension to Dominion. Right. Yeah, it is to Machi Koro what Ascension is to Dominion. And I like it.
Cool.
And John liked it too. And then John and I, we also played Nova Luna, So we got Nova Luna to the table with John. Nice. And he liked that. And again, that's a
nice little puzzle game.
Nice puzzle. And again, if you've played it more often, you're going to do better. But this didn't leave a sour taste in his mouth, like far away or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like, it's still an enjoyable thing to try and figure out. And it's a little counterintuitive with how you chain the different color tiles, but it works and it's great.
So there's a law that like says that like if you're gonna make like a gun, that it has to have like an orange tip on the front so that it doesn't get like mistaken as like an actual real gun. I don't know why they bothered putting orange tips on these guns. If somebody points a foam gun at you, you're going to be like, oh my god, that looks like an actual real weapon. This game is Cash Guns.
Hey, I was convinced that I was going to be shot multiple times during this game.
That's right. Anyways, yes, great game. It is a bluffing game. You have 3 hits and 5 misses or 5 blanks in your gun. Put down a card and then you point a gun at someone and then that person has to choose if they're staying in or if they're going out. Yeah. If they go out, they don't take any hits. If they stay in and they're all misses, they still take part in the loot. Yes. But if they get hurt, then they're out of the loot too. Yeah. So it's like if you see one gun pointed at you, maybe you risk it. But if you have like everyone pointing at you, you're like, okay, well, probably one of those is a hit.
That's right.
And so you just kind of bow out. And
if you have the Godfather desk or whatever,
that's right.
You can make one person point at someone else if they're pointing at you.
That's right.
So there's some neat things there.
Yeah. Now, ideally, you should point if somebody has the Godfather. You should all attack the Godfather, but some people didn't clue into that right away.
That's right. That's right. Although playing with Father Greg, and if you're me, you should just assume he's just shooting you every time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, naturally. So, no, great bluffing game. Lovely kind of party style game.
You know what? A lot of fun. It's a little bit, like, frustrating because you know that you shouldn't take it seriously, but you start to take it seriously, but there's no real benefit to that. Mm-hmm. Just have a good time. Yeah. The set collection with the paintings is fun.
Yeah. Diamonds, you can get money.
Yeah, that was my strategy, and I did fairly well with it. Okay, so big apology to you.
Wow.
John and I played Aquasphere. In playing Aquasphere, I realized that we might have played wrong.
What? I'm gonna kill you! What'd you do?
So, yes, if you're scoring points, you need a black crystal to get over particular lines.
Okay.
But if you don't have a black crystal, you can also remove a previously programmed bot from your player board.
Oh, okay.
So there is an alternative.
Okay.
Now, you won't always have a program bot ready to do that with, but there's a way out.
Okay, interesting.
And I don't think we played that way necessarily. I think we always had it in mind that you needed to have a black crystal no matter what. So anyway, got Aquasphere played. I was happy to get Aquasphere played. Knew I wasn't going to get Aquasphere played with this guy.
Sure.
So having John around was perfect for that. And you know what? This is a tight Euro. This is a very tight Euro game that really forces you to play gymnastics in your brain to try and do the things that you want to do. But there are quite a few ways that you can just sort of do what you want to do. You can pay time to just program a bot on any given action. Otherwise, you're limited to this sort of tech tree that you have to move up in order to do these actions. So all of a sudden, you're saying to yourself, okay, I want to do the squid action, kill some octopods, but if I do that, then I can't do the gaining a special ability card action for the rest of the round.
Right.
Unless I play a bunch of time and do that, but I can only do that once a round. So it hems you in, it makes you squirm, but it is really fun to try and make the game work for you. And I did all right. I felt like I did all right. It had, it has like a 50-point little token, and it has a 100-point token. I needed the 50-point token.
That's good.
And I was like, okay, we're getting there. We're getting there.
Sometimes games put in those like 100-point tokens just for no reason. But
that's right.
The next game that we played at Marion Dallas's house was Green Team Wins.
Okay.
Which is just a shit game. I'm sorry. I liked this game at one point in time.
You're done with it?
I'm done with this game. This game is horrible. This game, it's the worst thing about democracy. It's like there's a question. Hey, what's better, salt or pepper? And everyone puts a vote, and even if you're confident that your vote is right, it doesn't matter because everyone else said pepper. And
that's right.
Moron. It's just they just creates this. Yeah. Just literally, you want to vote with the majority.
A perfect example of this is there was a question: which is better, ancient Rome or ancient Egypt?
Right.
Okay. I prefer ancient Egypt, but I knew.
Right.
Because of the whole fad of
sure.
how often do men think about ancient Rome and all this stuff, that Rome was going to be the winner.
Sure.
And so I put Rome. Dallas picked Egypt.
Right.
And he lost. Like a chump. So,
right.
Yes. If you think about the game as answering questions, then your argument is valid. But that's not the game.
That's right.
The game is a social experiment to try and figure out if you can think like other people do and beat the double guessing. But it's not a top-tier party game.
Right. No.
There was a little bit of comparison to Just One happening, and it's like Just One is like leaps and bounds better.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think this was the jewel in the crown of John and I's plays together.
Wow.
Praga Kaput Regni.
Okay, yep.
He loved it. We played it twice together, and just really enjoyable. And so here's what I love. I love a couple of very specific things about Praga that just brings it to that next level for me. I love that halfway through the game, you swipe out all of the building tiles, wall tiles, upgrade tiles, and you get a whole new swath of them to play with. And they're all just a little better, and they keep up with kind of where you've built your engine and income and stuff to that point in the game. It then says, haha, now you kind of feel like you're at the beginning of the game again, and you're like, oh, that tile... That's 4 gold now? Like, I don't know if I can afford that, and, that kind of thing. So, I love that aspect of the game. And I gotta say, I love the technology tiles. First and second age technology or whatever. They're just kind of these ongoing scoring opportunities. Like, every time you do this, you get that. 3 and 4, though, are just... have a big old free something. Like, a big old free turn. Or, like, you can do the building action for free with a $2 discount. And so that's how, that's just how the game goes. And it's just, it feels good because you're comboing things all the way along. And then if you keep on moving up that technology track, all of a sudden the game's just like, and have a fun turn on the house. And I just love that feeling.
Sure.
So this game's just a whole lot of fun. It's a thinky, heavier Euro, but it's generous.
And you get to build bridges with eggs.
And you get to build bridges with eggs. That's right.
Who doesn't love that?
Not me. I love that.
The next game that we played, the last game in our evening together, was Fantasy Realms.
There you go.
Just if you have 10 minutes to spare, Fantasy Realms might be the best way to do it.
That's right.
Love it.
And this felt like a high-level Fantasy Realms play.
That's right.
Like everyone knew kind of what the things to
Except
do
for Diego.
were. Except for Diego. We took advantage of it.
Sure.
Had a game night, so invited over Daniel Fallman with his buddy Eric. And we were playing with John, and I was really jonesing to get Council of 4 played. I had Council of 4 ready to go, had it played at the game night, but not by I didn't get to play. But Daniel got to play, and he liked it, and so I wanted to bring it back to the table for him. But I raced for, like, the 2 biggest points endgame conditions. So I got, like, the quick route to get the big points on. Every time you get a win condition, you get a point token, and it starts at, like, 25 points. And then the win conditions are less points when you just do any one, but you can do harder ones for more points. But that wasn't enough, because people were just chaining their points together all throughout the game and getting all sorts of points. So I didn't do so well. The thing that's disappointed me about Council of 4 is I think it's a delightful game. I think it's a solid medium-weight Euro game, but people just aren't thrilled with it. Just there's kind of a bit of a fine. That just gets me down. I don't know what it is about it. Like, I like it fine, but I can see it has a bit of a... You can shrug your shoulders after it, I guess. I don't, but I guess I can see where it's coming from. I can see it sneaking in.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this game has a bit of a runaway leader problem, as you kind of mentioned. Like, I think when you start to fall behind early, you're like, oh, this is going to be a problem, because everyone else is... It is an engine-building game.
Yes, because basically every time you place a merchant, you activate that space's bonus... And every single bonus that's connected to that city. That's right. In a chain. Like, so not even directly connected, but like, if that bonus is connected to this bonus, I get that. And then if I have someone connected to that bonus, I get that bonus. And so by the end of the game, you're just like...
That's right. So yeah, the game starts speeding along very, very quickly. Like, like once you look at the game and you're like, oh, we're about halfway done, right? It's like, no, you have 1 turn left.
So after we played that, though, I was ready to play Hadara. I got into a Hadara kick, and we're going to talk about that a bit, but I wanted to get that played. And Daniel said, why don't we play Challengers? And it was like, oh no. So John wanted to play it because he heard me talk about that I like it a lot. Eric was intrigued. I just said, it's the game of war with like deck building in between each round. And he was like, it sounds terrible. Let's try it. And so we tried it. And like John and Eric both hated it, but Eric hated it to the degree of like, let's do that again. Like it was so bad it was good. John just hated it.
Sure.
And so the whole game, we were just dogging. I mopped the floor with everyone. I just like, the game isn't as luck dependent as you would have it. It is. You're deck building.
Right.
You have control over how you thin your deck out. But anyway, I did good. I enjoyed my play of it. Everyone else was grumpy. Daniel was loving the chaos of the whole thing. So the verdict was, this would be a great drinking game.
Sure.
Like, you just get, not a drinking game where every time you play this game, you get a drink. Just get drunk and play this game, and you'll have a good time.
That's right. I always do. I like John. Very good. Well, I got to my first new game of the month, a game I never played before. Me and Dan went over to Dave's house, and there we played Francis Drake.
Woo!
And yes, with
John as well.
John as well, yes. And so, yeah, Francis Drake. This is a game that looks about as boring as the cover does. But it's actually quite a fun.
It's colorful, though.
Yeah, it is. So you have a little ship, and you kind of you move a little marker around the board, sort of Takedo or Ratchet style.
Yes.
Where you just kind of go as far as you want. But each spot you can pick up things. But you can go as far as you want, but there are spaces that, like, once somebody has gone there, you can't go there anymore, right?
That's right.
And so there's an interesting thing. You can get like weapons for sailing, you can get some food, you can get some gold, you can get some trade goods, or you can get these like tiles that make you like the admirable or the queen or the whatever. And then
Father Greg just did that.
Yeah, at the end at least, I was like, okay, some of these are kind of good. Things that like allow you to sail before everyone else, or at least like one further up in the queue.
Or one guy lets you like set the ship battles. Like, you get to seed the board with the ships, and so you determine how difficult each of the sea battles are.
That's right. So eventually then, once you get to the end of this ratchet, you sail all your guys out to all the various parts of the ocean, and there you have to like conquer fortresses and villages and other boats and stuff like that, but you don't know what the strength of boat you're going up against is. Like, you have 3 cannons, you just don't know if that's enough.
Yes.
And so, but yes, there's one tile that like you do know if that's enough, because you've put down the tile and you know exactly which ship. Right. And so you could bluff people out too, because there's like, you get to place like 5 discs or something on the board, like to where you want to go, but you probably can't do all 5 of those things. So like, I would see like a place that I was like, I would see a fortress and I would put down like a really difficult fortress.
Yes.
But then I would put like my number like 5 marker onto that spot.
Yeah.
But like, you put it face down. And then Dave saw me put a marker there. She's like, obviously, if Greg's going there, it's obviously a pretty easy fortress to beat.
Right.
And then like, I was like, I don't intend to fight that fortress at all.
Yeah, that's
basically I targeted Dave, especially.
There are some mind games. Yeah.
So yeah, this is actually a really interesting game.
It's very
a lot of fun. A lot of playing against your opponents, right? Like seeing what your opponents need, kind of playing like, especially. There's certain parts of the board that you can't go to unless you have a certain amount of food.
Yes.
So like, I'd look at Dave and be like, oh, he has 4 food. Okay, he can go to this area, but nobody else can.
Yes.
So like, realizing like, if I make this fortress difficult, that is going to target exclusively him.
That's right.
Whereas this could target everyone else.
Lovely game.
Yeah, I didn't do great, but it was fine.
That's right. Okay, so I did get Hadara played, though, with John, and then another time after that, a couple times after that, actually. I was rereading the rules, and I said, John, don't let me forget that every time you play a card of a certain color, you get a discount of 1 for every card of that color you've already played in your tableau. And he was like, yeah, that seems like something important to remember. And we didn't remember.
Oh my god.
And so our play of it was really crazy.
That's horrible.
So actually, it turned out to still be a delightful play, but because it sort of balances this thing out. The way the game plays normally is you can play a bunch of cards of the same color for really cheap and kind of run away with that, but then you have a real food problem because you don't necessarily have enough food unless you're playing green cards that way.
Right.
You don't necessarily have enough food to keep up with those cards, so it kind of hems you in that way. This way, there was no real problem keeping your food under control because we could only afford a certain number of cards.
Wow.
Anyway, since played it correctly, love this game every time. Just this is in your It's a Wonderful World, Splendor, Century Spice Road. It's in that vein of engine building games, and it's one of the best.
Right. Yeah. That's a big rule to forget, though. It changes the game significantly.
Significantly. I know.
So then after we played Francis Drake, Dan decided that this group might like to play Heat.
Listen. Dave had asked me about Heat a few months ago. He texted me. He was like, so how's Heat? Like, would that be good for my family? And so I thought, we're going over to Dave's house. He doesn't love when I bring over games.
Sure.
But maybe he'd like to just see what he plays like for his family. That's all.
There's a reason he's never going to ask you to bring games over ever again. I could see the disappointment on Dave's face as the game went on. It was palpable. It was.
He did not do well.
No. So this is a game where the experienced player is going to know what's going on.
Yes.
Far more than the inexperienced player. Even if the inexperienced player, like Dave, is great at games.
Yes.
Like, we will often lose to Dave.
That's right.
But no matter how you explain this, there's something about a game that tells you if you go around this corner too fast, you're going to get a penalty of heat. And so your first instinct is well, then I don't really want to do penalties unless I can see a clear bonus to be achieved by doing that. But this game, you do want to take those penalties.
Yes.
You do want to go around the corner too fast. You're willing to take heat. It's just about how much heat can I reasonably take and still make it around this corner?
This game should be called Getting Around the Corners by Spending All Your Heat Except One.
That's right. Exactly. Exactly. You want your engine to be... It's called pedal to the metal.
Yes.
And you want your pedal to be to the metal.
That's right.
You want to be going as fast as possible. And so we crushed both Dave and John.
Yes, that's right.
It was between us two, and the other two guys were just touring. they were going on a delightful drive on a Sunday afternoon.
That's right.
Through London.
And we were just...
That's right.
Yes.
That's what I feel like when I drive around Saskatoon most days.
That's right.
But yes.
But if you know what you're doing...
That's right.
This game just gets better and better. It just feels really good to pull off.
It does feel good to get into a rhythm and understand how the game flows.
Yes. Okay, so John was looking at my shelf and Budoku caught his eye. And Father Greg said, you better play that with him 3 times or something so that you get it out of your system. Because he doesn't want to play this with me.
Sure.
But John and I played Budoku. And it was a slog to relearn the rules and whatever. But we got it to the table. I got it relearned and we played it. And man, okay, this is a heavy, brain-burnery, combo-tastic Eurogame. But man, is it satisfying when you pull off those combos and when you really okay, if I go here, I get this, and then that combines with this, and it's going to get me that. And yeah, it really tests you. But here, the theme really helps. You hate the theme of this, but this forest spirit theme and the colors, it just helps engage you into a game that's really going to test your brain. So the theme really helps you from going cross-eyed as you're playing this game. And so, yes, it's exhausting to play, but it's just satisfying. Once you finish the game and you're it feels like, maybe you don't want your board games to feel like a workout, but it feels like after a good workout when you're that was hard, but I feel so good after. That's what Budoku does. So anyway, I think you should give it another shot down the road sometime. I don't know if I'll convince you to do that, but...
I don't mind the forest spirit theme. I don't get how the forest spirit theme means I'm combining two halves of a dragonfly together.
That's right.
And sending cards into random rows and crossing a river and it's nonsense. It's just I'm fine with a nature-themed game. I just don't get Dan has been trying to get me to play this game for some time. Every single time we get together, he's like, you know what? We need to play this game.
Yeah.
And every time I've been like, you know what? There's another game there. Why not? Why don't we just play that?
Why don't we play that?
And every time he's like, oh man, I played another version of this game. We gotta play it again. And that game is Strasbourg.
Yes!
Finally, he forced me to play this game.
And he reserved his opinion. And so I am so dying to know what you thought.
It's good.
Yay. Good.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It took me a little while to grasp that the different point values, I didn't do exceedingly well score-wise. But that the 5-point tiles are a lot more valuable than like the 2-point tiles by a significant margin. But then you're putting little like, I don't know, houses or whatever they are in the middle of them, trying to create like little
people.
Crosses, like diagonal things. Like you want to be right in the middle and have all of your little tiles that border it and have adjacencies to your little houses and so on. But there's like this thing where when you're the mayor or the bishop or whatever, you get to like place down what those houses are worth. So it's like each house, like you might have 4 adjacencies, and there's one tile that's like, for one round, it's like, hey, whoever wins this role, this title of like the mayor or whatever, gets to place down this tile and decide.
This edifice. So you place down the edifice. And it might be a 2-point edifice?
Right, or it could be like 5 points per adjacent building. I got the ability to place the least of the important of the tiles.
That's right. And I should have seen this coming.
And Dan had like 3 tiles. He was waiting. He was waiting for a perfect spot. I was like, okay, well, you could have this one. And I gave him like 6 points. I don't know why he was complaining. I gave him 2 points for every adjacent tile.
22 or whatever.
Yeah, I really screwed him over.
Yeah, really did. Really bad.
It was a lot of fun.
Real bad. Real bad.
It's a lot of fun. So I did win, but I had a great time.
Yeah.
It is a good game.
Yeah, lovely game. Okay, so we played with the boys. They love Seven Wonders Architects. John loves Seven Wonders Architects. And John had the audacity to say that he preferred Seven Wonders Architects to Hadara.
Wow.
I wonder why.
Sure. That makes sense.
But yeah, you know what? Delightful card drafting game. Perfect for kids.
Then I went over to Mary and Dallas' house, and we finished off the West Kingdom series. We did one adventure in the North Sea, but now we're in the South Tigris. So we played Wayfarers. Wayfarers and South Tigris. So yeah, spoiler alert, this is my least favorite of that whole series of North Sea, West Kingdom, South Tigris. I don't know what the East is going to be, but whatever.
Right.
All of that whole thing. I would say that feeling was mutual across the board.
Yes.
It's not a bad game. I don't mean to say this is a bad game.
Sure.
But I would happily play
leave me to say that.
All of the others over this one.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of markets and the figuring of costs and how you get things and symbols and iconography.
Well, the symbology is like weirdly different from side of the board to side of the board, but they mean the same thing. And
yeah, there's a lot to try and figure out, and yes, it's complicated to figure out how it all plays together. After a certain number of plays, I think, yes, you would get into a rhythm, and you'd be able to kind of be like, oh, okay, yes, I'm going to do this and this and this and this. But at least in the beginning, it was like, oh, you can't take that villager. Why not? Because that villager has to go under a vista, and you don't have any vistas.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. Oh, okay, I'll take this guy. Oh, you don't have enough money for that. Why not? Oh, because you see the cost is listed here and not here on the card. Oh, yeah, stupid. All these things. So
that's right.
But yeah, we played it. So now we're ready for Scholars.
Which I think is supposed to be better.
I'm interested. Scholars seems like an interesting game.
Okay, so John and I, Sarah was putting Ellie to bed, and we were just going to see, like, hey, can Sarah maybe play Dune Imperium Uprising with us? We didn't actually get around to that. But we were playing a few games, just him and I. And so we played Beer and Bread, which he really enjoyed. So Beer and Bread is this awesome 2-player distilled 2010 style midweight Euro, and it just has this great thing where you're gonna make a bunch of bread and you're gonna make a bunch of beer and you're gonna score points or gain dollars for building, for making this beer and this bread, and ultimately at the end of the day you're only gonna score your lowest out of those two, and that's always a fun little game to play. So I just love threading that needle between sometimes I'll go really heavy into beer for the first half of the game. And then I'll make all my bread kind of thing. And try and keep it even that way. Sometimes I'll just kind of go 1 for 1. You know? It's fun to just try and figure out how do I get these scores as even as possible and still good. Then we busted out Nar. So I played Nar only one time before and we played it wrong.
Yep.
We got a rule wrong where if you go out exploring, you have to get rid of cards in your tableau.
It feels bad.
And it feels bad. You can actually pay these tokens to take less cards out of your row. And it's a cool balance playing it the correct way, where you don't take as many cards out, but you still have to take some.
That's right.
And so it's actually a better balance of that, because you still get that, ooh, I don't want to do that, but I really need to get those points. But still you can kind of say, oh, I'm still going to keep a bunch of that engine going. And so we played a really good game. John, we each had a kid. John had Owen, kind of piggybacking off of him. Ethan was with me, and Ethan and I were doing great. And then they snuck up and got us at the end. Nice game, actually.
Myself, Mary, and Dallas, we played It's a Wonderful World.
Nice!
And just did a run through of that. And I was talking about there was somebody, I don't remember who, but they were like, I think if you take only yellow cards, that's just overpowered.
Pierce mentioned
Pierce,
it.
okay.
Wondered, yeah.
Yeah, and in this game, yellow cards was at least part of my strategy. And I would say a fairly major part of my strategy. And I did horrible.
Sure.
So, yeah, it was like, I shouldn't say I did horrible. Mary had 22 points. I had 39 and Dallas had 67. So,
okay.
So it was a bit of a runaway, almost twice as much.
Sure.
As
because you let him have all the blue cards, probably.
So actually, it was like weird. There was no blue cards to be found, which could just happen, right? Sometimes you just get an absence of blue cards or whatever, and so a lot of people were having a ton of blue. I even had a card that was I got a bunch of yellow cards, and I got a card that was for every yellow card you have, you get a blue cube. And I was like, sweet, now I can do blue stuff. Very few blue cards. And I was
sure.
Okay.
Okay, this was probably the second jewel in the crown of John and I's plays. This is what he loved as well. So he loved Immortality, he loved Praga, and he loved Forest Shuffle.
Okay.
So we got Forest Shuffle played, and he absolutely loved it. And you know what? Playing again, yes! I don't know. I think that sometimes people resist me.
Sure.
I get excited about a lot of stuff. And so when I'm really excited about a game, it's kind of the same tone. I come at Strasbourg with the same energy that I come with Forest Shuffle, that I come with Earth, that I come with Praga, that I come with. So you can't really tell if I'm excited about something, whether you're going to like it or not.
Sure.
Forest Shuffle is worth getting excited about. There's something really lovely about having a hand limit, drawing from a common pool, taking cards that an opponent might want, or an opponent ditching cards, and then you being like, okay, I'll capitalize on that strategy. Drawing off the top of the deck, but risking going into winter too fast, and then ending the game. And just comboing. For every wolf I have, and for every deer I have, this wolf is going to score for all the deer, and, all sorts of stuff. Really great game.
I do like this game.
Yeah.
I didn't love it the first time we played. I liked it significantly more the second time.
Yes.
As you're mentioning, I'm like, I'd give that game another go.
Yeah, it has a sweet, rhythm.
Then we come to my third new play of the month, new game. This game, we did a video a while back on our prettiest board game covers.
Okay.
And I think this game could happily be on that list.
Sure.
And that game is Barcelona.
Barcelona!
And Barcelona, you're building streets and intersections and buildings.
Yes.
But you're building in buildings by placing dudes onto intersections, and sometimes those dudes are peasants, and sometimes they're middle-class people, and sometimes they're nobles. We always place two of them.
Yes.
And whichever one's on top kind of defines the action that you can do.
Yes.
So you could build
defines the type of building.
a nicer building or whatever. But then you do where the vertical line and the horizontal line connect. There's different actions on each row and each column. So wherever they meet, you do those two things, and then you can build a building. And if you build, you can upgrade a building. So if there's a little peasant building, you can build a middle class building or a noble building on top of it. A little difficult to grasp at first. I think this game is not immediately clear what you're trying to do how you're going to get points. You get points by a lot of ways. Yes. And there's a lot of room for points.
This comes with a 400 point token.
Yeah, good lord. And you will not need that 400-point token. But your score will still be very, very high.
We were in the mid-200s.
My biggest complaint about this game, and then I love this game. I'll preface that by saying I really, really, really enjoyed the play of this game. The difficult thing is that I'm not sure that any of our scores were accurate. Because when you place a tile, it's okay, I get 5 bonus points because I was the first person to build in this row. Then, it was a noble building, so that has a value inscribed on itself. That's 7 points. Yeah. But then, you get, depending how many peasants and how many middle-class people have built on this track, it's it's also worth another 10 points. And that gets more points as the game goes on. And then it's I also have this thing that gives me 2 points every time I build a building.
Yeah.
Or whatever. So it's just easy to forget you kind of have to have like a checklist that you sort of go through.
I for sure missed out on like 3 or 4 points at the beginning of the game because of this.
Right.
And I just didn't kind of bother worrying about it. But again, it could have happened again. You know, so that is a valid criticism.
For sure. But the overall experience, especially once things start to click and you start to kind of feel like... So like I just set about building a lot of intersections. And intersections are great because every time somebody goes to your intersection, you get an extra resource.
Yes.
And nobody went to my intersections, but I did. Yeah. So I got some extra resources, which was fine. But then I was like, I knew that I was the only one going to my intersections. I would have put my intersections in better places or whatever.
That's right.
So there's a neat thing between I want to do this action and this action. Okay, well that puts me here. Oh, but that spot's not really good because it's not adjacent to any spaces I can build in. So it's like, okay, well I do really want to build a house. Houses are a lot of points.
Yeah, you're divided between your 2 main actions for the turn and where you might want to build that turn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so there's a nice little tension there and really satisfying.
I really enjoyed this game. Like really, really, really is delightful. But I would describe it as precarious. Mm-hmm. Your strategy is precarious. Everything is just like you're walking a fine line everywhere where what you do not only affects what you can do, and you can mess that up, but it also then leaves things wide open for your opponents, and they can do all sorts of things. I was fairly close to you at the end game score, but that was only because Pierce just left it wide open for me to build a building on my last turn.
Right.
Like I earned something like 25 or 26 points on my last turn, where I should have only earned like 6. Mm-hmm. So there's just things like that where it's a bit... I would describe this as zany. This fits into the zany category. Right. But it's really nice. Really nice.
Yeah.
With John, we were really trying to get to 20 unique plays by the end of this. We realized that we were so close. So Sarah and I sat down with him. We played Luxor. Lovely. And he was just like, lovely family game.
Sure.
And it was a good play of it too. We were all pretty close in score and everything. Still love this mechanism. If you have a hand of cards, you can only play the left card or the rightmost card. And then when you draw cards, you put that card in the middle, and you're trying to race your adventurers through this temple to collect artifacts.
I'm surprised that mechanism hasn't actually been stolen and put into another game.
That's right. Like a
I've
beefier
seen
game
very
or something.
few games. Because yes, I love that mechanism. The board is like fine. I think the race thing to like the temple's a little weird.
Yes.
And like whatever. But it's like if there was a whole other board game that just had that, I could totally get into that.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. So so Pierce was over when we played Barcelona, and then he decided to bring up the fourth new game that I've never played, but has been talked about on this channel because that's. We played this game twice, actually. In fact, we finished Barcelona and then decided to play this game 2 times in a row. And we didn't play test this at all.
Oh, I hate this game so much.
And I think I only ever played 1 card. And that's in both plays. Like, that's...
this is so silly.
Yeah. I don't know why he loves this game so much, but, there's a brief glimmer where you're like, oh, okay, I get it. Oh, what the hell card is that?
It's just a joke, right?
It's
just a joke. Was playing board games with the boys, and I played Kill Dr. Lucky. And you know what? It was fun. Ethan won. He successfully killed Dr. Lucky. Realized, wow, this game can be played with my kids. The theme's a little awkward. They're like, why do we want to kill him? I was like, he peed in your bushes. I don't know.
Wow.
I don't think I actually said that, but they give like some examples in the rulebook.
That's right.
Silly little reverse clue. I describe this as kind of hot potato style of game where you're just like, make a murder attempt. People have to play luck cards to keep you from playing.
That's right.
And then if everybody's out of luck cards and you make a murder attempt, then you win.
That's right.
So it's just kind of...
it's drawing out everyone else's.
That's right.
Because there's no way your first murder attempt is going to succeed.
That's right.
But it's like, who's going to spend the points to prevent that kill?
Because if you're the last person to play in that round, you have to, have to keep the person from winning.
Then myself, Dan, and Dave, we played a game of Revive.
Nice. Not me. Father Dance.
Yeah, Father Dance. Or yep. So you get out of this hole and you're expanding across this world. You have to explore and do things. But you each have kind of asymmetrical startings. You have like a little leader guy, and he has special abilities. And so the weirdest thing, the kind of the neatest thing and the weirdest thing about this game is that there's this kind of generic pile that everyone can draw from, but it's like these end game tiles. And they come in 3 colors, orange, white, and purple. But then you draw this card, and it tells you like what your orange things are worth. It's like alien artifacts or something, but like your orange artifact is worth 2 points for every tile that you've explored. But your purple artifacts are worth 1 point for every, I don't know, time you've used your special ability or whatever. So the point is you're playing this game, but at various points in the game, just as the game kind of progresses, naturally it's going to be like, oh, now you have the ability, you reach 10 points, now you have the ability to get an artifact. And so you just pick one, and you pick probably the one that you think is most valuable, but then the next guy goes and like picks your orange one that you want. And so eventually the orange run out, and so then now you're limited to picking from the purple and picking from the white. A neat game. It's a little, I don't love this game.
Okay.
But a
lot of people do.
Yeah, like I definitely enjoy it. It's not a bad experience. It's a little strange, but maybe the strange is what kind of makes it cool. Like it does some things that aren't done, like that weird kind of end game scoring mechanism is a little different. It's kind of, it's sort of like secretive, but at the same time, like once I take an orange tile, you're like, oh, he obviously wants orange tiles. Like his orange tiles are going to score him a lot. I should take an orange tile.
Right.
But like, and then sometimes, I don't know if always, at least in our game, everyone wanted an orange tile. I don't know if that's always the case in all the other plays. Right. Anyways, it is an enjoyable game. It's cool.
Cool. No, I'm looking forward to playing this one of these days. Okay, so got a few games for my birthday and stuff, and World Wonders was one of those games. And so got World Wonders played with Sarah, and then with Sarah and Colin. Hot dog, man, this is excellent. This is an excellent family weight plus, I would say. And just really, really unique. It's a polyomino game, but again, it's a polyomino game where you can shortcut and do different things. So your board has these kind of natural resource spaces that you can use them as kind of normal land spaces to build over. But if you build adjacent to them, they're going to score you points at the end of the game. And on one side of the board, most of those are near the top of the board. So you're also going to get points at the end of the game for fully surrounding a city tile. So you want to build tight, but you also, and that's 1 point per city tile you have completely surrounded. But each natural resource you have adjacent to is also 1 point. So you can kind of like build really tight, but then you kind of want to sort of veer off and just build to get up to the top of your board and start getting adjacent around those resources. So you can do both, and it's kind of neat. But the draw of this game is these world wonders, these big chunky wooden pieces that you then are able to. So your turn is just one at a time. You take a turn and you spend gold to build various things on your board, and tiles are worth a certain amount of gold, and you take them and each round the things are limited, so you're taking from other people. But then to take a wonder, you have to just spend the rest of your gold. So I can spend 6 of my 7 gold and get a wonder with 1 gold. But I also have to wait out the other players, and they might want that too. So I might see other people are getting close to that goal as well, the requirement for that wonder, I should say. And so then I'm like, I'll spend 4 gold for it, fine. Okay. So that tension is really fun. And then you get to place like these 3 giant pyramids on your board. All of a sudden you're filling up your board, and lovely game. Lovely.
So I walked in on the end of this game being played, and I wanted to play it. And I was like, this is a game that I would love. I can tell right away. When I walked in and saw all of these wooden wonders, like the pyramids, this waterfall, Petra, like whatever, all of these different like wonders that you could see. Although the pyramids aren't pyramids, but that's
they had to fit on the board somehow.
They could have done it, anyways. But this game looks fantastic. Like you're placing polyominoes, but then you have this big bridge that's just placed in the middle of your place, and it looks cool.
Yes. Very good game.
The next game I played is Furnace.
Oh, delightful.
And Furnace, in my mind, might be the most satisfying crunch in a small time frame.
Yes.
Like if you're looking at like crunch per minute, like if you're looking at like a factor of like I have a little time to play, but I want to play something that's got a lot of meat to it. Furnace just does that. It satisfies the mathematician who likes to count out all of the various ways. I ended the game, like it's so satisfying when you finish the game and I have like 2 coal left. And I'm just like, that feels good. Like
that's right.
when you can run your engine and like by the end of it, everything's gone. Like you've made use of all of the little resources that you gathered. It sucks when you have like 18 steel left over at the end of the game. Right. It's like, okay, I did something wrong.
Okay, got over to Dave's and played for the first time Teotihuacan. So here it is. It was Dave, myself, and his buddy from work, Colin. It was just a really good atmosphere. But man, Teotihuacan really does reward multiple plays. Like, it's a tight Euro. Right, so when Daniele Ticini is together with Simone Luciani, they're a little looser. Zolkin is the exception. Zolkin is also tight, but this is just like, it just makes you really squeeze for it. And so I sent a picture to Father Greg as we were playing it, and he's like, "Who's black?" I was like, "Me." He's like, "Oof," and I couldn't figure out. He couldn't see the score track. I was doing poorly. So how did you figure out that Black wasn't doing so well?
So actually at first I was like, Black seems to be doing okay. He's got his Ascension dice got rid of. Like you were the red and the blue still had their dice on the spot. Yeah, that's right. But then I looked at all the tracks and like you were like way far down on all the tracks. I was like, okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, this is looking rough.
So ultimately I didn't do horribly. I was probably 10 points behind Colin, who was 25 points behind Dave. Sure. But I didn't hit my stride until midway through the game of like what this was really about. My complaint about the game is that the centerpiece of this game is this pyramid that you're building, this temple. And there's all these big chunky pieces, and when you build, if you align the pieces on the tile you're placing with the pieces that are below the tile you're placing, you're going to get points, and you're going to get bonuses if the tile on top is colored pieces and they're matching below. Then you're going to be able to move up those tracks and things like that. And it's just deceptively not great.
That's right.
Like you think you can maybe get like 4 of the symbols to match sometimes, but like you're limited in where you can place because you have to make a pyramid. So you're limited where you can place them, and so those combos don't happen as well as you'd like.
Yeah, if you can get 2, that's great.
That's right. But it distracts you from realizing that just building at a certain level is going to get you 8 points.
That's right.
And so you're kind of like deterred from doing it because it's like it's not as good as I think it was, and then you're like, oh wait, no, it is good because you're still just going to get points. So I got dissuaded from building, and that really, not only do you get points for building, but then you get points at the end of a round for how far up the building track you are, which counts how many times you built in a round. And so it snowballs in that way. But I did end up getting ahead I started building decorations a lot at the end of the round, and I had a good thing going where every time I went to tile 7, I got 4 points. And so I just kept on going there, and that let me build decorations. So I was getting points for building decorations and points for going to the place that let me build decorations. And so I started, but it was too late. So far, it needs another play. Jury's still out. It's not hitting Praga levels for me. It's not hitting Toledo levels for me. But I recognize the goodness. I recognize that it's good. It's just a little... Dave always talks about, is there enough juice for the squeeze?
Right.
And he means something else, but I just thought it was hard to squeeze this.
Yes. I love the dice mechanism. The thing where, like, you want to get your dice to be where another dice is, because then if all 3 of your dice are on the same action space, it's better.
Yes.
The way you upgrade your dice and, like, turn them into a 5, and then now, if all of them are 5s, that's a really good action.
Yes.
But that takes a long time, like a lot of preparation. Like you have to move a lot to get your dice upgraded to that level. And then if you get upgraded too much, they become a 6, so they just like ascend into heaven. And
they cost more food the higher they are. So you want to get them up there to do the big actions.
That's right.
But then at the end of the round, you're like paying Coco out your...
That's right. Coco, yeah. Hot dog, you go through Coco in this game.
That's right.
So I love that part. I think my least favorite part is exactly what you said, the pyramid. Like, this pyramid has like the weirdest thing of like, yeah, you're not just trying to match the symbols, but like you want to put a colored symbol on.
Yes.
And some of the symbols aren't colored, they're just black and white. It's like, why? I don't know, but they are.
That's right.
And then the decorations go on the steps, like going up this temple, and it's like, it just feels like it should be really cool. But I'm always like, this is my least favorite part of this whole adventure.
But it is the centerpiece, and you need to do it.
That's right.
So yeah, it's a weird disjoint. Mm-hmm. That it's like, this game would be more fun if your main thing was more fun.
That's right. But like all the other parts, I'm like, dude, this is awesome.
No, for sure.
The next game, so Marion Dallas had said that when I did my top games of all time, they were like, well, then we need to get Village played. So I was like, deal. So I brought over Village. And apparently we played it once before. I completely forgot that time. But we played Village again. The only time that I've played this game that it didn't go well was when we didn't follow the rules.
That's right.
The first time I learned this game.
That was my fault.
But even then, I knew that there was something about this game that I loved. Like,
yes,
even when we totally ruined the game, we didn't even finish it because
it just got gummed up.
We just we're like, I don't know what to do anymore.
Yes.
And but I just there's something about this game. It's good.
That's right. Okay, at the end of the game night with Dave and Colin, we played Port Royal. So I played Port Royal. Alexander Pfister, he has 2 lives. He has his small box card game, like room service, oh my goods, and then he just went all heavy. I played it one time before, and I didn't quite grok it. This time I grokked it. I really enjoyed it, actually. So it's a card game where the currency is the cards. So whenever you earn coins, you just draw off the top of the deck, and you keep the cards face down, and they're just money. And so it creates this really weird thing where, to get points, a lot of the time, you're looking for very specific types of cards, but they could be coming into play just as money. But you go through the deck really quickly at a lot as you play the game. And so you're buying cards that come in front of you that give you special abilities where instead of buying 1 card from the card row, now you can buy 2. And ships are coming out and you can get coins from just taking the ship card. But if same color ship card, so if the second red ship card comes out, then you bust. And so then your round's over. And basically whenever it's your turn, you start flipping cards over, and then when you decide to stop, you can purchase or take a card from the card row, and then everybody else can pay you a coin to take a card from the card row as well. And that's just how every round works. And then certain things happen that might allow you to take 2 cards or whatever else. But it's as simple as that, and you're just racing to 12 points. It was good. I liked it. I won. That helped. It was fun.
Cool.
Port Royal, baby.
Then me and Marion Dallas, we played Maglev Metro. And we've played Maglev Metro before, but they just bought the maps pack. And so it has all different kinds of maps. And so we played on London, which is probably the easiest one maybe to start out with. And yes, I love Maglev Metro. I love the visuals of putting down these subway tracks, of interacting. The London one was a little weird in that there's these districts that you can't go into. That's kind of easy to forget. So at one point Mary was like, oh shoot, I went through a district that I couldn't have gone through.
Right.
So we kind of had to figure out a way to sort of backtrack that or whatever. But
sure.
Still had a great play. It's a very satisfying game.
Okay, so when Father Greg was over after we played World Wonders, we played Captain Flip. So, Father Greg, you finally got a chance to play Captain Flip.
I did.
So now you've played all 3 of the Spiel des Jahres nominees.
Yes.
What did you think about Captain Flip? In the footsteps of Darwin and Sky Team.
Yes, probably Sky Team's the best. That's a tough one.
Well, that's what won.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sky Team is cool. Footsteps of Darwin is cool, but doesn't do anything that new. Captain Flip is an interesting game that's like a lot of other games, which is just adjacency things. Draft a tile. Yeah, it is neat to draft a tile. Do I want this one? Do I want to flip it?
That's the game.
Right.
Is do I want to flip this tile or not? Just that tension. That's what makes this game really thrilling, and it plays in a short time.
There's a little bit of there's the gunners or whatever. It's if you get 3 of them at the end of the game, you lose.
Yes.
So you could either draft a bunch of them, but hope to flip some of them because some tiles allow you to.
Because they just get you 5 points immediately, which is really great.
That's right. But yeah, just so there's a little bit of kind of fun push your luck, or you can build a lookout, but then you don't want to build on top of it. But sometimes it's okay because you don't have to build in every column. Is that good? I have a lookout. I don't really want him deer, but I guess I could. But then sometimes you build up and then you get points. And
that's right.
Just lots of cool adjacencies.
Awesome.
Neat little game. Cool. Then I played a new game that I got off Kickstarter. It was my solo game of the month. I played it like 3 times, and that's a game called Forage.
Okay.
So the guy who makes them, I forget. I think his Mark is his first name, but his last name's Tuck. Okay. And he makes these 3 games, and the thing that ties them all together is they only have 9 cards, or at least you only play with 9 cards. The game sometimes has more than 9 cards in it, but you only ever play a game with 9 cards. And so there was, first one was called, I forget, the second one was Orchard, I think, and then this one's called Forage.
Sure.
And you're just placing cards. Each card has like 6 different squares on it, and you're just trying to layer them on top of each other, but you're trying to match the same type of land that was below it. The more you do that, the higher you place a dice on top, and it goes from like 1 to 3 to 6 to 9 to 15. And so, but it's tough to layer things 5 times high with the same terrain without messing up on any subsequent terrains, because every time you mess up, you get like -2 points.
Sure.
Really easy sort of game. There's a score chart at the end that's like, hey, check your score and how you did. All 3 times, not great. So I'm still trying to figure out how to do good at this game. But,
there you go.
One of these days.
Well, there you have it, party people. Those are all the games. 47 different games that we played in the month of August. And we pretty much did it at the same time we normally do. Woo!
Way to be.
Way to be. So let us know, party people, what you thought of the games we played. Tell us again what you played. And before we go, we're going to tell you what the best board games we played this month were. So for myself, it's Praga Kapu Regni is the best board game of the month of August. Yeah, hands down. No, I shouldn't say hands down. There's a couple.
They usually had a tough month. They played a lot of your favorite games this month.
But Praga ekes out the win. Let me say it that way.
Well, I'll say Barcelona.
Nice! Yeah. Because I would have said Barcelona if I didn't say Praga. So that's good. That's really good.
Great.
There you have it, party people. Please press the like button if you like this video. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. And until next time,
have the best day.
Woo!